The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. Bet $100 at WynnBET and get $100 in free bets. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. We're also brought to you by Draft Day 2. Make sure to check out Draft Day 2.0 starting August 9th at noon Pacific. Ryan Real Money Kramer will begin drafting for 24 straight hours. The fantasy football marathon will raise money for Daryl, a loyal listener who was injured in a motorcycle accident. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/draft day for more details. Welcome, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Sunday, August 7th, currently 8:13 on the East Coast, here to break down the MLB slate for Monday. And joining me to help me break it down is the superstar of the show in the Great Lakes area, Noah Beanick. Noah, how you feeling, buddy?
Stop saying superstar. I don't know if I like the term. You're doing more stuff over here
prospect.
Than I am.
How about that?
Yeah, sure. I like prospect. It's a little bit better because I really only do baseball and then college basketball. So I got college baseball, MLB, college basketball, whatnot. I'm basically only covering prospects and then occasional everyday MLB stuff. But yeah, I'm ready to go watching Sunday Night Baseball with you. Going to talk about Monday's games. And I'm live tweeting Sunday Night Baseball as well. So we're going to see how this goes. It's kind of a flashback to the beginning of the season when we were doing these Sunday Night Baseball podcasts.
Yeah, right now the Dodgers are up 2-0 in the top of the fourth. We had a Cody Bellinger bomb and then a
Did you
RBI
see the
single.
dialogue between Juan Soto and Carl Ravitch during the home run?
Yeah, I did. He's like, awesome. He's like, stay. Stay here. It did not stay here. Home run for Cody Bellinger. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Funny. Yeah, like Noah said, we're gonna dive into the Monday schedule, like as we usually do. Only 7 games on the schedule on Monday, kind of where we were at early in the year, where we're having those shorter slate of games. So, but we'll talk about some other stuff. You know, we did an MLBSGPN power rankings of the top 10 teams in the MLB between myself, Dylan, and Noah, and we'll go through that list, and Malcolm. I'm sorry, Malcolm as well. I'm forgetting Malcolm's name because his list was interesting to say the least. But yeah, we'll go through that, and then a brand new, I guess we could say, contest happening for MLB Gambling Podcast for our listeners. We'll go through that at the end of the show with our lock and dog for the Monday schedule, Noah. So let's do it, my man. Well, let's talk about the weekend here a little bit before we do the rankings. I think the biggest story of the weekend was probably the Cardinals sweeping the New York Yankees in St. Louis this weekend. And I know you gave out the St. Louis Cardinals at the trade deadline show. You did with Scott at around 2-1 for them to win the division. I was discussing this with you guys last week where they were still at plus 150 before the line moved between or right before our eyes down to plus 110. I got down at both prices, but now after the weekend with the St. Louis Cardinals sweeping the New York Yankees now, they are now a minus 145 favorite to win the NL Centrals. And I think now they are in the driver's seat there, Noah, to take care of that division.
Yeah, they are leading it now after Milwaukee. Get this, they've lost 5 of their last 6 they got swept by the Pirates and they lost 2 of 3 to the Cincinnati Reds. Not good times for the Brewers over there. I feel really good about that one. And we were all over it since the All-Star break.
Yeah. So they still have the second easiest schedule remaining in the entire MLB. They have 3 games left against the Dodgers, 3 against the Braves, 3 against the Padres, and then 7 head-to-head matchups, which I think pretty much will determine the NL Central there. But they still have a lot of easy games left on the schedule. They have 4 against the Nationals, 8 against the Cubs, 9 against the Pirates. Pirates are a feisty bunch. They got some victories against the Baltimore Orioles. We've seen them go into Dodger Stadium and sweep the Dodgers. They also swept the Milwaukee Brewers on their home field. So, those won't be easy games. But they also have 8 against the Cincinnati Reds in their division as well. So about, 25 of their 54 games remaining are against NL Central. 32 of the final 54 are against NL Central opponents. So definitely, I think we're in good shape here now.
Yeah, NL Central, not one of the strongest divisions. I know you were talking about the Pirates and how they have been quite competent, but I mean, just in general, if you wanted a future in a division, it's probably this one, just because the competition is really scarce in the division. And I mean, you have to love to see the performance that they did on the Yankees this weekend. It was their first sweep on the Cardinals in franchise, or first sweep of the Yankees in Cardinals franchise history.
That's crazy. That's crazy to think. So we saw that this weekend. Anything else that kind of stood out to you over this weekend?
Did you see the
as far
play?
As MLB?
Did you see the play at the end of the Toronto Blue Jays Minnesota Twins game? Top of the 10th, Whit Merrifield it's tie game, top of the 10th. Whit Merrifield goes sliding into home. The umpire calls him out. There was no way, shape, or form. They went to review, and they called him safe. Now, I know our buddy Jody Junta is probably happy with the decision, but man, I feel like the Twins got robbed there, because that was one of the games that I was extremely hyper-focused in trying to decipher where I should rank the Blue Jays and the Twins in my power rankings that we created this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, there's just, it happens every single year where it's really always behind the behind the plate that the umpires are making these calls that just make you scratch your head. I think is a nice way to put it. But even today, Adam Wainwright on the mound, he threw I think it was a curveball that landed in the strike zone, and the umpire called it a ball. And I think everybody at that point was really confused. Even Aaron Judge was kind of like waiting for him to call the strike against him with that. So it's just so many instances where, like, even video replay review, where they just don't get it right. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, that game was really weird, because Aaron Boone ended up getting tossed. The first 4 innings, the strike zone was pretty tight, and I forget who was up at the plate, but all of a sudden it had opened for this at bat, and then forward going on in the game, Boone gets tossed, and then it happened one more time in that at bat where it was kind of a stretched strike zone. And Wainwright, in his credit, or maybe the umpire's doom or whatnot, I can't remember the right word to say there, but he gets the most calls outside of the strike zone in the MLB this year. So I don't know how you find that stat, but every broadcast where you watch Wainwright pitch, it is always set.
Yeah, I think we had, let me make sure who the umpire was. I think it was Ed Hickox who's behind the plate, this evening, for the Yankees and St. Louis games. Coincidentally, home teams are 12-5 in his games that he has been behind the home plate. Home teams are averaging 5.1 runs in the games that he has started. So something definitely that if you are handicapping these games, that you probably want to look at the umpire behind the plate, because there are a lot of great websites out there that do give you all that information. Noah, before we do get into the MLB power rankings that the crew put together, let me tell you guys about our presenting sponsor, WinBet. Thinking of joining WinBet? Now is the perfect time. New customers who bet $100 get $100 in free bets. If you're betting baseball, you have to check out WinBet and their reduced juice in baseball games. And it makes them the best place to bet MLB. Plus, the WinBet Casino is always open 24 hours a day, where you can get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000. There's so much to choose from, and all you have to do is head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/winbet so they know we sent you. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WINNBET to claim your free bet today. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at winbet.com. Must be 21 years or older and present in a state where playthrough WinBet is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. And Draft Day 2.0 is back with Ryan Real Money Kramer, who will be drafting fantasy football best ball teams for 24 hours straight. The drafting starts on August 9th at noon Pacific. The crew will be raising money for Daryl, a loyal listener who was injured in a motorcycle accident. You can draft with Ryan and a ton of special guests. All the details at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/draft day. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/draft day. Let me tell you also about the new sponsor on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, Odds Trader. We all have that one place that we're looking for to compare sportsbook odds and find the best promos and sign up bonuses. And that's what really Odds Trader is. It's a place to compare odds for all major sportsbooks, like I mentioned. And you can also, like I said, compare the different sign up codes and promotions from sportsbook and get the best deal. The app also provides player statistics, key game stats, injury reports, and projected game day weather for bettors to make the most informed bets possible. It also has a bet tracker so bettors can keep records of all your games and betting activity. Like I said, they also have those features on OddsTrader where that can help you with their handicapping. They have play-by-play updates, live scores, and bet tracking, player statistics, key game day statistics, and allows you to keep track of all your games and betting activity. So all you got to do is go to oddstrader.com/bluewire. That's oddstrader.com/bluewire. OddsTrader, the number one site for all your game day bets. All right, Noah, so let's get into our SGPN power ratings. I know you sent out a little message in our little group chat on Slack asking us to put together our top 10 teams in the MLB. Each of us sent one in, and you kind of compiled the consensus, and we have a consensus top 10 for the teams as of, let's just say, Sunday evening here. So I'm going to let you take this over, my man. Where are we standing with these power rankings?
Yeah, so everybody, all four of us, Malcolm, Moonoff, Dylan, and I, kind of created our top 10, and we compiled them all together into a consensus top 10, like Moonoff mentioned. And it was actually a nice little experiment because we found out that, you know, there might be a little bit of parity up the top who we think is the top team. There's three of them that the four of us kind of argue could be the best. Sure. But we noticed that there is a group of six that have really separated themselves from the pack. And that group, for our consensus, is the LA Dodgers. We had them at 1, the Houston Astros at 2, the New York Mets at 3. Those were the three teams that each of us had ranked at 1. Malcolm's rankings from here on kind of skewed the data a little bit. But after that, the New York Yankees, the San Diego Padres, and the Atlanta Braves filled out that top 6 that we think have clearly separated themselves from the pack. It was really only Malcolm had the New York Mets ranked number 1, and Moonoff had the Houston Astros ranked number 1. After that, everything kind of filed in to that first 6. Moonoff, since you're on the pod, what do you think separates the Astros from the Dodgers in your opinion?
Yeah, I think number 1 for me is that they've just been so dominant since the 2016-2017 season. And it's really stemmed by the depth that they have at the pitching at the top there. I think we lost Dylan here. I'm sure he'll be back here in a second, but I'm just going to tell you guys about the Astros and why I think they're the number 1 team for me. Like I said, it really starts also with their pitching. They have about 6 to 7 guys that can be starters in the MLB. But when we talk about the front 2 guys on this team, Justin Verlander is your alpha. He's your ace at number 1. He's having a Cy Young caliber year. He should be the Cy Young Award winner in the American League. I mean, it's incredible that he's coming off a Tommy John surgery and doing what he's been doing all season long at a consistent basis. He's only had one really bad start, Noah, which was against the Mariners in Seattle. Yeah. But other than that, he's just been absolutely fantastic. And then you've kind of look behind him, Jose Urquidy, Luis Garcia, Framber Valdez, Christian Javier. They're going to get Lance McCullers back. I know he made his 3rd or 4th rehab start right down the road from me, so he's going to be back for this team, and hopefully he's able to stay healthy. And you look at the acquisitions that they made at the trade deadline. Trey Mancini already, I think, has like 2 or 3 home runs with the Houston Astros. He's going to be a great addition for this team. He could play the outfield. He could play first base for this team. Provides another right-handed bat in the lineup. Not that they needed it, but, just more firepower to that offense. And then you talk about the offense, Jose Altuve, Yordan Alvarez, Alex Bregman, Kyle Tucker, Yuli. I know early on he was struggling a little bit, but he kind of turned it on over the past 2-3 weeks here. And again, like I mentioned, from 1 to 7, 1 to 8, you added Christian Vasquez, who is batting above, I think, right around 270. That's a huge upgrade at that catcher position offensively. bullpen has been great for them. And they have that experience of making deep postseason runs. That's why I put the Houston Astros at number one. And I know I'm down in Houston. It's completely unbiased, ranking for them at number one. It was really between the Dodgers and the Astros for me, and I just kind of gave the edge to the Astros at that one position because of their pitching rotation.
Yeah, that was the exact two teams that I was down to as well. First, I think I'll speak for Malcolm for the Mets. This weekend was super, super impressive. 5-game series against the Braves. They won the last 4 in a row. This pitching staff with a healthy DeGrom is maybe up there with, I might be biased in saying this, but the 2014 Detroit Tigers pitching staff was amazing. They had 4 Cy Youngs. This easily looks like that, maybe even better. So very, very powerful pitching, starting pitching. And this lineup, 1 through 5, 1 through 6, is also competing with the best in the league as well. And Dylan sent a graphic that they have 5. They are the only team in the MLB with 5 hitters that have 100+ hits. Yeah. So very strong team. And honestly, that's not the part where he skewed the data, but Malcolm had the Mets there, and it's hard to argue still.
Sure. Yeah. And again, last season, this was a problem for the New York Mets, was just scoring runs. And, the pitching staff, they made huge improvements on the pitching staff. Obviously, when you get a guy like Max Scherzer behind Jacob deGrom, I think that's absolutely, that's going to be the best 1 and 2 in the postseason by far. And then you talk about the lineup, they made the improvements to get those guys in that batting order where, last season, like I mentioned, that scoring runs and getting hits was a problem for this team, but they went ahead and addressed that. So, I think we could talk about the Dodgers here in a second, but yeah, it's really fun to have this conversation with the top 3 teams at the top of the MLB.
It is. And I guess I'll jump into the Dodgers conversation too. Putting or establishing this set of standings as power rankings allows for some opinion to sneak through, and whether you want to do it on computer data or just eye test and watching games. And that's one thing that I think Malcolm really relies on, is his eyes when he watches baseball games and handicapping them. And for me too, I think that the Dodgers still are not really even playing their best baseball. They have Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw, and Dustin May all on the IL, and this lineup is up and down. They have Joey Gallo and Cody Bellinger hitting 7 and 9 respectively in this batting order. You can't tell me that this is not the best up to down batting order in the MLB. So I kind of thought they haven't played their best baseball. I think they're the number 1 team because they will be better down the road. Yeah. And then Astros, I really like their starting pitching. I have the Astros above the Mets. Either way, I actually created my set on Saturday before the doubleheader and Sunday game. Very impressed by the Mets. It's neck and neck, honestly, in the first 3. Do you want to get into the end of the list here?
Yeah, I think the Dodgers, quickly, I'll just mention this. I think they have the best top 3 in baseball. There's no question for me. When you have Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, Freddie Freeman as your top 3 guys, I think that's the best in the entire MLB. But I think we pretty much had an agreement on who the top 3 teams were.
Yeah. And then so 4, 5, 6 in the consensus rankings were the New York Yankees, the San Diego Padres, and the Atlanta Braves. Now, Malcolm had the Padres and Yankees above the Astros. I don't know what he has there. That's probably a conversation when he comes onto the podcast. And then Moonoff, you had Yankees at 3 above the Mets, Padres 5, Cardinals 6, and then Dylan had Yankees, Padres, Braves. I had Yankees, Padres, Braves. 7, 8, 9, 10 is where it got really interesting for us. The consensus landed with the St. Louis Cardinals at 7, the Seattle Mariners at 8, the Toronto Blue Jays at 9, and the Minnesota Twins at 10. Moonoff, you went with the Cardinals at 6, the Braves at 7, the Blue Jays at 8, Mariners at 9, Brewers at 10. Just kind of give us a little bit of a synopsis at the back half of your rankings.
Yeah, I mean, and this is where you can really just go up and down on where you want to kind of go with your power rankings at these positions, right? I put the Padres at 5. I'm kind of second guessing myself, just because I just don't think that they have enough pitching right now. But I mean, when you talk about this team offensively, Manny Machado, Juan Soto, they're going to get Fernando Tatis Jr. back at the top or sooner rather than later for this team. So they're right in that conversation as far as with the Dodgers having those top 3 guys being the best in the entire MLB. The question marks really does kind of come with me for the starting rotation, right? There's not really the ace. I think that for this rotation is probably Joe Musgrove, but after that,
I think so too.
yeah, Darvish has he's had great starts at home, but he's kind of been shaky on the road. Blake Snell hasn't been able to find that consistency this season. He hasn't been the guy that the Padres thought they traded for him when he was with the Tampa Bay Rays. And after that, there's just really question marks for me. But I mean, they went out and traded for Josh Hader at the trade deadline. I think that he's going to be there, obviously, coming into next season. I think the offseason conversation for the Padres is going to be bolstering up that pitching rotation for them and establishing the oasis, because at every other part of their team, batting lineup and bullpen, I think they're pretty solid at. Cardinals, we've been really hyping them up since the trade deadline. This team is finally coming together. I think that, with Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt right there as kind of the favorites to win NL MVP, when you have those 2 type of guys in your batting lineup, it's going to pay dividends. They went out and got 2 more arms at the trade deadline.
Yeah,
I think, eventually, I don't know if they'll get Jack Flaherty back or not, but Adam Wainwright's having another incredible year for them. There's been a lot of consistency for them. Dakota Hudson has been good. Miles Mikolas has been good as well. So it's going to be interesting to see. Well, with this team is probably the wild card for me in the National League. Atlanta Braves, again, the pitching is the biggest question mark for me. Again, they found a way to get it done last season. But you still don't have that established ace on this roster. You have Max Fried, yeah, number 1 guy, but I felt like they could have went out and got another arm in this pitching rotation.
They got Odorizzi.
Oh yeah, he's gonna really put you over the top there. And then Blue Jays, again, they were the big sexy pick coming into the season. Another team that has some question marks at that pitching rotation. Mariners are the young, exciting team. Hopefully, Julio Rodriguez is back sooner rather than later. This team went out and got Luis Castillo, right? If Robbie Ray can kind of find that middle ground from what he did last season to this season and find that middle ground, I think he's going to be great up there with Luis Castillo. Logan Gilbert's having a great year. Chris Flexen as well. So this is going to be a team that, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Kind of questioning the Brewers here at number 10. I'm still a believer with Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff. But no, offensively, I just don't think that they have enough to win a World Series title.
Yeah, I think that the starting rotation, when healthy, when they have Burns, they have Woodruff, they have Peralta, those top 3 in the playoffs is honestly right up there with the Mets and the Astros and Dodgers when they're healthy. So I don't think that's a question, and I don't think. I think the bullpen is good, and they had great pieces. They traded away Hader. It's yet to be seen whether Taylor Rogers is going to, bounce back from this little rut that he's in, because I think he's been credited with 2 more losses since this trade over to the Brewers. So it's not been starting off well here in Wisconsin for him. So that's the reason why I left them off. I just can't trust the bullpen right now, and the offense is just nowhere to be found.
Yeah, it's really been, again, you have to have all 3 phases of a team for you to win a championship. We've seen that over the years, that your batting lineup, your pitching, and your bullpen has to be good. And I think that all 3 teams that have kind of won over the last couple of years have kind of ticked the checkbox for me. And it's crazy to see that last season without Ronald Acuna Jr. that the Atlanta Braves were able to win the title. But do you have anything else for the power rankings?
I guess so. My rankings ended Cardinals 7, Mariners 8, Blue Jays 9, Minnesota Twins 10. I think the Twins was the one that could be argued, like, why are they in the top 10? I think they made great trade deadline moves. I think they added Tyler Mahle into the top 3 of their starting rotation. He's going to be a playoff starter for them. And I really love what they did in the bullpen, adding Jorge Lopez. But I think the story of our power rankings goes to Malcolm's We got to touch on this before we move on because he had his finish was the Cardinals 7, Mariners 8, Minnesota Twins 9. Guess what his 10th team was?
The White Sox.
It was. So he was the only one that ranked the White Sox in the top 10, and he got a little bit of backlash in the group chat. We gave him what he deserved, but maybe somebody can ask him what his thoughts are behind it the next time that he's on the pod. Which actually it's going to be a little bit while. He's on vacation right now. So
Mal's on vacation. So
conveniently,
when he's back,
the area.
Conveniently leads some controversy as far as his top 10 rankings. Before he goes on vacation. So Mal will be back on Thursday.
And then I'll show Dylan some love. His 7 was Toronto Blue Jays. He had them ranked the highest. Cardinals 8, Brewers 9, Mariners 10. So Brewers at 9. Maybe we ask him about that next time he's on the pod too.
Yeah, I had Brewers at 10. So I think I know similar thought process there, but kind of seeing what has transpired for the Brewers over the past couple of weeks here, they may just be falling out of our top 10, especially, taking a loss today with Corbin Burns is on the mound today against Graham Ashcraft, and they took a huge loss there as a close to almost a 300 minus 300 favorite on the money line today against the Reds. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of happens with the Brewers as we kind of progress through the season. All right, before we get into our Monday betting predictions, let me tell you guys about the newest sponsor on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It's Run Your Pool. Run Your Pool is the home of competition, bringing sports fans and their social circles together to compete, connect, and make every game matter more. Run Your Pool offers every game type under the sun, from Pick'em and Survivor to fantasy pools. It's a one-stop shop for sports gaming with customizable features you don't get anywhere else. We've teamed up with Run Your Pool to host a pool for our official SGPN NFL Survivor contest. It's free to enter, and some amazing prizes will be announced soon. So hop in now and reserve your spot. Get in over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survivor. Sleeper is the fastest growing fantasy platform today with millions of players. You probably already have a fantasy league on there, and I use it for mine. They just passed 4 million users, and now you can win on Sleeper by playing their new over-under game. First, in any sport, choose 2 or more players that you like and pick the over-under. If you pick correctly, you can win anywhere from 2 times to over 20 times the money you put in. With the NFL season right around the corner, Sleeper is the first sports contest game built into the fantasy experience. The main reason I'm excited about over-under on Sleeper is that it's the only app where I can join my buddies' contest and we can play together. It's got a built-in group chat where I can see and copy my friends' picks with a tap of a button. It's insanely fun to ride it out together. Stop what you're doing and download Sleeper now to play their new over-under game. Have fun with your friends and make some money. On your mobile device, join our listener group on Sleeper at sleeper.com/SGP, and Sleeper will automatically match your first deposit up to $100. That's right. Join Sleeper now and just go to sleeper.com/SGP and you'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. All right, Noah, let's get into the Monday schedule. Like I mentioned, only 7 games on the schedule in the MLB on Monday, but nonetheless, we are going to go through all of them here for you guys. So let's just dive right into it, my man. The first game on the schedule is going to be a 7:05 Eastern start. Toronto Blue Jays in Baltimore to take on the Orioles. Kikuchi on the mound for the Blue Jays, and the pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles I'm seeing is going to be Jordan Lyles. Looking at the odds for this game, I am currently seeing, let me refresh this page, give you guys the latest odds. MLB, let's see here. All right, it's going to be a minus 150 favorite for the Toronto Blue Jays, plus 130 on the money line for the Baltimore Orioles. Over under set at 9.5 with juice towards the under at minus 120. Run line minus 1.5, plus 110 for the Toronto Blue Jays, and Baltimore Orioles plus 1.5, minus 130. Let me start with Kikuchi here. He is making a second start, I believe, since coming back off of the IL for the Toronto Blue Jays. And Kikuchi has been subpar, I guess we can say. I mean, he had a great outing since he did return this is his third start for the Toronto Blue Jays since he returned from the IL. He had a start against the Detroit Tigers, where he went 5 innings, only allowed 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts, and then his last start was against the Tampa Bay Rays, where he did go 4 innings and allowed 2 earned runs to the Rays there. But on the season, 4-5 with a 4.86 ERA, 84 strikeouts, 43 walks for Kikuchi. He did face the Baltimore Orioles earlier this year, where he went 4 innings and gave up 4 earned runs to the Baltimore Orioles. 4 walks in that game, 4 strikeouts. And on the road so far this year, Kikuchi 0-3 with a 5.74 ERA. And I dug in a little more against the Orioles. He did give up those runs early to them in his career. He is 1-2 against the Orioles with a 5.24 ERA. He's allowed at least 3 earned runs in every single start against the Blue Jays over his career, which dates back to 2019 when he was with the Seattle Mariners. Jordan Lyles, like I mentioned, on the mound for the Baltimore Orioles on the season, 8-8 with a 4.40 ERA. Last 3 games, the record is great, 3-1, but he has a 4.05 ERA. He did also face these 2 pitchers actually matched up, I believe it was on June 14th against each other. And there were a lot of runs being scored in that game. Lyles in that game went 5 in the 3rd inning, allowed 4 earned runs, 5 hits to the Toronto Blue Jays. At home, he has been better, where he is 3-2 with a 2.68 ERA with 16 earned runs and 53 2/3 innings pitched. For me, I do like the first 5 over in this game between these 2 pitchers. I think Kikuchi can give it up here, and he has on the road. And again, Baltimore is a team that can put up runs. I know they, were not very good today against the Pittsburgh Pirates. On Sunday, but I think this is a game where I think we see runs being scored between these 2 pitchers, again, Jordan Lyles and Kikuchi for the Blue Jays. As far as the side, we've talked about it all season long that the Baltimore Orioles are really great against the run line at home at +1.5, -130. I think that's some great value, but I'm also going to be sprinkling here on the Orioles money line at +130 for the full game here. I know.
Yeah, I think I like the Orioles play the best. My one thing about the game in general is, I guess, 2 things. We were talking about in the power rankings how it's just hard to trust the starting rotation for the Toronto Blue Jays, maybe outside of Gausman. He's the only one that's really cement kind of in that rotation. And Kikuchi is like example 1A of why they kind of needed to make a move for a starting pitcher, in my opinion. And then the second thing is, now I talk about how I don't really love Kikuchi. This Orioles lineup is not good against left-handed pitching. They have the 2nd most strikeouts against left-handed pitching. They have the 5th worst OPS against left-handed pitching. This is a team that I like to fade against left-handed pitching. Is Kikuchi the right guy for that, though? I don't know. And I think I'm willing to put a bullet on the Orioles money line here, but I guess a sharp play could be if it comes in at like 4.5, 5, a Kikuchi strikeout prop. He had 4 against Baltimore in his previous outing against them, and in his last 2 outings here off of the IL, he had 5 strikeouts against the Tigers, 5 strikeouts against the Devil Rays. I don't know why I said Devil Rays, but
those are teams, the Devil Rays.
Those teams, they're not prone to striking out much, and especially the Tigers against a left-handed pitcher. We saw that with McClanahan this weekend, and Munoff's and my pitiful performance on the Lock Dog Total podcast. The Tigers went out there and performed very well against McClanahan. Yeah. So if Kikuchi's getting more strikeouts than McClanahan against the Tigers, it's saying something. So I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, and again, over the last 2 weeks, Baltimore ranks number 16 in WRC plus against left-handed pitching as well, and their strikeout percentage. Let me see if I can filter that down as well. Baltimore number 6 as far as striking out against left-handed pitching as well. So I think you may be onto something here, Noah, for this game. You have anything else for this game?
No, I think I like your Orioles money line play the most. If that doesn't entice you, if the Kikuchi K prop doesn't entice you, I'd probably just stay away because The Blue Jays, I think they got gifted a little bit of an extra innings win here, and the Orioles, the last series against the Pirates, I don't know if it was quite telling how this clubhouse is going to respond after Mancini and Lopez dealt at the trade deadline. So I think there is some regression to come here for the Orioles. Losing two of the most important players to your team, I don't think you can stay on the same path to the playoffs like they have been over the past week.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, let's get over to the next game of the night. It's going to be the Cincinnati Reds headed to New York to take on the Mets. 7:10 Eastern start. Justin Dunn is on the mound for the Cincinnati Reds. Chris Bassett on the mound for the New York Mets. Looking at the lines for this game, I'm currently seeing New York Mets a very heavy favorite, minus 280 on the money line with Bassett on the mound, plus 235 on the money line for the Cincinnati Reds. Over under set at 8.5, with juice towards the over at minus 120. Run line minus 1.5, minus 140 for the New York Mets, and plus 1.5, plus 120 for the Cincinnati Reds. Noah, I'll let you lead this one off, my man. Justin Dunn versus Chris Bassett.
The Reds, they're 6-2, including a series win against the Brewers in the last 8 games. They travel from Milwaukee here to New York. The Mets, like we've mentioned earlier, they were super impressive this weekend, winning 4 of the 5 and the last 4 in a row in their 5-game series against the Atlanta Braves. They scored at least 6 runs in every game during that 5-game series. So very, very impressive, like we've mentioned. Justin Dunn for Cincinnati makes his 2022 MLB debut. He did have a stint from 2019 to 2021 with the Seattle Mariners, but this year in the minor leagues, Dunn had a 6.75 ERA in 8 starts with an 0-3 record. The New York Mets, they're trotting out Chris Bassett, who's 8-7, 3.54 ERA, 121 strikeouts, 33 walks, 122 innings pitched. He has a 2.58 ERA in his last 5 starts, going pretty well. The New York Mets going very well. The New York Mets run line is my play tomorrow, and I really love it.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at Justin Dunn's numbers here in his starts in the minor leagues. And he's allowed at least 3 earned runs. And let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4 of the 6 games. But I think that one thing that's really telling for me, he's allowed at least 2 walks in every single one of those games for the minor league system there. So if there is a walks prop that is posted here tomorrow for Justin Dunn, that's something I may want to look at. Looking at what the team walk percentage is for the New York Mets, or walks per game at least. New York Mets, I think right now are in top 10 over the last 3 games as far as walks, or walking, and then the walkout percentage. Let me see if I can pull that up.
Pretty good against Strider, if that's true. They won against Strider, Max Fried, and who was the second guy in that doubleheader?
Wasn't it Odorizzi on Saturday?
Might have been. They crushed him. Odorizzi and Fried on Saturday.
Yeah, so top 10 they are in walk percentage. So something I'll keep an eye on when those props do drop. But I agree with you. I think the way the bats are hitting for the New York Mets, the one thing that does make me nervous is that Chris Bassett's only 2-5 at home so far this year with a 3.06 ERA. But against NL Central teams, he is a 2-0 with a 1.77 ERA. So he has some success against these type of teams. Hasn't faced the Reds since the 2019 season, so not very relevant there. But I agree with you. Oh yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, was that Chris Taylor?
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you with the run line here. I mean, you guys stay with the hot hand here with the New York Mets, so I think both of us are on the run line here for the New York Mets. Next game of the night, it's going to be the Washington Nationals headed to the Windy City to take on the Chicago Cubs. 8:05 Eastern start. Anibal Sanchez on the mound for the Washington Nationals. Keegan Thompson on the mound for the Chicago Cubs. Looking at the lines for this game, I only see money lines for this game. Minus 180 favorites for the Chicago Cubs. And plus 155 for the Washington Nationals. We're going to wait for the wind direction for a total. So, that'll probably be posted a couple hours before the game for these two squads. No, I'll let you leave this one off, but also my man, Anibal Sanchez with the Nationals versus Keegan Thompson and the Cubs.
Yeah, just wanting to get it out there. Washington does travel from Philly to Chicago. Not a huge travel spot, but going from the East to the Midwest. So it's a little bit of a toilet bowl matchup. So yeah. any advantage that you can try to find in this matchup, it's good enough for me. Washington, they just got swept in 4 games by the Phillies, giving up 36 total runs. And Chicago is also 2-6 in their last 8 games. Pitching for the Nationals is Anibal Sanchez. He's 0-4 with a 7.65 ERA, 15 strikeouts, 9 walks, and 20 innings pitched during 4 starts this season in 2022. And for the Cubs is Keegan Thompson, 8-5, 3.58 ERA, 83 strikeouts, 31 walks, and 93 innings pitched at home in Wrigley Field with the wins galore. He has a 2.61 home ERA. I think it's harder to back the Nationals right now than it is the Cubs. I don't trust the Cubs on the run line either, and this money line is a very, very I think I saw it at 180, minus 180. So the only bet I can advise is that Cubs money line. I don't like the run line. Maybe, just maybe, there's a parlayable piece that you could throw the Cubs with somebody else later in the podcast.
Yeah, there we go. A little tease there. Yeah, I mean, Anibal Sanchez just has not been very good. 0-4, like you mentioned, against NL Central teams. I think he had 1 start. I believe it was against the St. Louis Cardinals. He's given up at least 3 earned runs in 4 straight games. He's allowed at least 2 walks in every single one of those games. Just not very pretty for him. So depending on where this wind is blowing, I do like the Cubs team total in this game. Look at that Keegan Thompson. I mean, you mentioned it. The home numbers is what really sticks out for me for Keegan Thompson. He is 8-5 on the year with a 3.848 ERA at home, 5-2, 2.50. And let me see how he's done against the Nationals so far. Last season, not much there. He did have 1 appearance, but it's really not relevant, especially when you don't have Juan Soto and Josh Bell on this team anymore. So Cubs team total for me in this game. And a parlayable piece as well for the Chicago Cubs against this Nationals team. I agree with that. All right, next game on the board, it's going to be the Los Angeles Angels headed into Oakland to take on the A's. 9:40 Eastern start. Jose Suarez on the mound for the LA Angels and Cole Irvin on the mound for the Oakland A's. Battle of the lefties here. Looking at the lines for this game, I am currently seeing the Oakland A's are favored minus 125. At home with Irvin and plus 105 underdogs for the LA Angels. Over-under is set at 7 with juice towards the over at minus 125. Run line minus 1.5 plus 165 for the Oakland A's and plus 1.5 minus 195 for the LA Angels. I'll start with Jose Suarez here on the season. 3-4 with a 4.55 ERA, 53 strikeouts at 25 walks over his last 5 games. 2-2, 22 1/3 innings pitched, 13 runs allowed. And against the Oakland A's, he had a great outing against them. He had 5 shutout innings and 5 hits only allowed in that game, 5 strikeouts in that game as well. On the road this season, 1-2 with a 4.33 ERA. AL West teams, he's gone up against 2-1 with a 2.45 ERA. So has some success in his own division, does Jose Suarez. Cole Irvin on the mound for the A's. Like I mentioned, he's 6-8 on the season with a 3.04 ERA. Has been really good over this last 5 games for the Oakland A's. 3-2 with a 2.25 ERA. Has struggled a little bit against the Angels this season. I mean, the run support hasn't been there, but the ERA is respectable at 3.75. I did dig a little deeper in that in those 2 games against the LA Angels this season, and I think one of the games Mike Trout did some damage against Cole Irvin, and then I think the other guy was Phil was it Gosselin? Yeah, Gosselin for the Angels as well that did damage against them. But at home so far this year, Noah 4-2 with a 1.73 ERA, 12 earned runs allowed, and only in 62 1/3 innings pitched. So I like where he's at in form right now, especially against not only being at home, but the success that he does have this season against the LA Angels. I know he took a L in both of those games, but like I mentioned, those runs that really came in those 2 games were, number one, Mike Trout did some damage against him, and Phil Gosselin as well for the A's in those 2 games. So I'm leaning towards taking the A's here. Shockingly, I mean, this is not one of the more exciting games of the night. Looking at WRC numbers against left-handed pitching over the last 2 weeks. Let's see. Oakland A's are number 13 in the entire league, and the LA Angels are at number 23. And we know the Angels, they'll have those spurts of games where they'll put up 5, 6, 7, 8 runs when there's the 2 or 3 other games in that series where they just, not score at all per 1 or 2 runs. So I thought this total was right where it would open up at 7. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of value still there on the under, but I do like the Oakland A's in this game, just with the recent form that Cole Irvin has been in, Noah.
Yeah, I actually like the under. I think that's my favorite play in this game. Sitting there at plus money, the Athletics team is one of the worst lineups against left-handed pitching this year. 638 OPS against left-handed pitching. And then you're the WRC guy. But Jose Suarez is not one of the guys that typically you like to back with this Angels team because they don't really show up for anybody else other than Ohtani. And right. Cole Irvin's been going very well, like you mentioned earlier. So I think I'm staying away from the Angels money line, and I'm rather just taking the under. I think this is a nice little 4-2 ball game that, the lucky team wins. Whoever has more timely hits, I think they win the game. So I like the under. Don't know if it's one of my favorite plays of the day, but that would be my game or play in the game.
There we go. All right, next game on the schedule, it's going to be a 9:40 Eastern start. The Pittsburgh Pirates headed to Arizona, to the desert, take on the Diamondbacks. Tyler Beede on the mound for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Zach Gallen on the mound for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Looking at the lines for this game, the Diamondbacks are a heavy favorite here of -225 and plus 190 on the money line for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Over-under set at 8 with a little bit of juice towards the over at -115. Run line -1.5, -105 for the Arizona Diamondbacks, plus 1.5, -115 for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Noah, what do you got for this game? Pirates and the Diamondbacks, probably the second most boring game of the night.
I think
that's on the schedule, man.
we do 7 games, and 3 of them are just not really that interesting. But we do the dirty work here in the dog days of August, and we'll get into that a little bit later on in the podcast. Something fun for the dog days of August. But big travel spot here for the Pittsburgh Pirates. They go from Baltimore, East Coast, about as far east as you can get, maybe besides Maine in America. They go from Baltimore to Arizona. So if you love travel spots, this is a game for you. But the Diamondbacks, they're -225 favorites, or whatever Munaf was able to find out there that he read off. When I handicapped it, it was -225. I think it's because of the travel spot, and I also think it's because of Zach Gallen and how well he's pitched this year. He's 6-2, 3.40 ERA, 106 strikeouts, 32 walks, in 111.1 innings pitched. That's a lot of ones. 2.32 ERA in his last 4 starts. Going for Pittsburgh, and this is just the reason why I love this play. Going for Pittsburgh is Tyler Beede, making his second start of the year, 24 appearances, 1-1 with a 3.89 ERA, 25 walks, 25 strikeouts, 19 walks in 41.2 innings pitched. He's an opener. Then they're going to turn it over to the 26th ranked bullpen in the MLB. Beede, his first start did not go very well, gave up 5 runs and 1.2 innings pitched. I'm on the Diamondbacks run line here. Munaf, how about you?
I mean, yeah, you don't need to sell me. I know this again. I think there's a huge, like you mentioned, the travel spot is the travel spots of all travel spots to fade, right? I mean, like you mentioned, you're going from Baltimore all the way to Arizona, and you have to go up against Zach Gallen. So a bullpen day seems like for the Arizona Diamondbacks here, but Zach Gallen has been really good, especially at home for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and looking at his home record, he's perfect 3-0 with a 3.23 ERA. Did face the Pirates earlier this year where he got 0 run support in that game. He went 6 innings, only allowed 2 earned runs off of 5 hits, 4 strikeouts, and 3 walks. But I think this is a spot where you just want to fade this Pirates team because of the travel situation. I know it's a -225 favorite. You probably want to get on the run line here, a -225, or if you want, on the run line of -105 the Diamondbacks, but if you want to shrink it and maybe take the bullpen out of it for the Arizona Diamondbacks, take a look at the run line in the first 5 for the Arizona Diamondbacks as well.
And this,
back in Zach Gallen.
Yeah, and this was the play that I was talking about, maybe a little bit of a toilet ball parlay with the Chicago Cubs and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Both, you can argue that they're good money line plays, but who knows about the run line,
Yeah, I mean, imagine on a Monday night you're parlaying the Chicago Cubs and the Arizona Diamondbacks. That's ultimate degen stuff right there.
It is.
Anything else for this game, Noah?
No, I think that wraps it up. I might go get the odds for the lock dog part of the podcast for that parlay, though.
All right. Next game on the board. It's going to be an NL West matchup. It's going to be the San Francisco Giants in San Diego to take on the Padres. 9:40 Eastern start. Alex Wood on the mound for the San Francisco Giants, and Blake Snell on the mound for the Padres. Looking at the lines for this game, I'm not sure if we'll have some out because the Padres are currently playing here on Sunday night. Let me take a quick
I have some
here. Give me 1 second. If you have it, go ahead because my page is a little slow to load here.
Yeah, so I got Padres -165 favorites, the Giants +140, the over/under is set at 8 with juice to the over -115, under is -105, -1.5 for the Padres, +125, +1.5 for the Giants, -145. You wanted me to jump into the handicap?
Yeah, you got the odds. You're the man. Go ahead.
All right, cool. So got to flip over my page here. Travel days for both teams, but I mean, they're not very big. They're going from Oakland and Los Angeles to San Diego, so no big deal there. But the Padres are on Sunday Night Baseball right now, like you mentioned. And if you believe in the trend of fading a team that plays on Sunday Night Baseball that then plays the day after, you might love to hear that Blake Snell is on the mound for the San Diego Padres. He has pitched well as of late, 3.10 ERA in his last 6 starts, and on the year, he's 4-5 with a 4.16 ERA, 87 strikeouts, 34 walks in 67 innings pitched. But the Giants have the 10th best OPS against lefties with 750. The San Francisco Giants, they're pitching Alex Wood in this game. He's 7-9 with a 4.42 ERA, 105 strikeouts, 26 walks in 106 innings pitched. On the road, he has a 4.53 ERA. In his last 6 starts, he has a 3.19 ERA. Snell has been great over the last month, but in no way can I get behind him and San Diego at this -165 price. They could be swept here by the Dodgers. They're losing 2-0 in the bottom of the 6th as we speak. So not confident in this Padres team right now because I feel like they're getting a little bit overpriced in every game so far after that trade deadline just because of the hype. And, San Francisco the Giants do slightly better against the lefties. I'll entertain the dog price on the Giants money line here. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with you here. I think number one, you're coming off a series against the Dodgers. Maybe they're a little deflated here, getting swept by the Dodgers or possibly getting swept. I know you mentioned they're up 2-0 here, but Alex Wood did face this team. I think this is already his 4th start against the Padres this season. Let me filter this down to this season. 4th start already this season. He faced him back in April, in May, in July, on July 10th, where he had an absolutely incredible outing against the Padres. 7 innings pitched, shutout baseball, only allowed 3 hits. And the Giants went on to win that game 12-0. And in that game, they did face a left-handed pitcher, Mackenzie Gore, who really gave it up to the Giants, to say the least. In that game, left-handed pitcher there, Mackenzie Gore, 3 1/3 inning, 8 earned runs off of 8 hits to the Giants. So I think there's some value here with left-handed pitching. I'll just read you all the WRC numbers over the last 2 weeks against left-handed pitching. San Francisco Giants are number 10 in WRC plus, and in slugging, they are number 11. So they're right around, they're hovering in that top 10 in the top third of the league as far as against left-handed pitching. And Alex Wood, another left-handed pitcher for the San Francisco Giants. San Diego Padres, number 18 over the last 2 weeks against left-handed pitching as far as WRC plus. They are slugging, Padres, number 25 over the last 2 weeks against left-handed pitching. So, Yeah, I agree with you. Some value here on the San Francisco Giants. I'll go with that plus 140 as well. Possibly looking at their team total in this game as well. I know it's not a big popular pick because the Giants just haven't been batting well, but I think it's probably going to be at 3.5 for this Giants team. I think that against left-handed pitching, they can get that there, Noah.
Like that. I do.
All right, let's go to the final game of the evening. It's going to be the slumping New York Yankees headed to Seattle to take on the Mariners. 10:10 Eastern start. Jameson Taillon on the mound for the New York Yankees. Logan Gilbert for the Seattle Mariners. Looking at the odds for this game, I am currently seeing the New York Yankees are a minus 120 favorite in this game. Even money on the Seattle Mariners. Over-under set at 7.5 with a little bit of juice towards the over at minus 115. Run line minus 1.5 plus 140 for the New York Yankees and plus 1.5 minus 165 for the Seattle Mariners at home. Jameson Taillon was doing well early in the season. The overall numbers look great, 10-2 with a 3.96 ERA. But over the last 5 games, a 5.18 ERA. He's only 1-0 in that situation. 14 earned runs, 24 1/3 innings pitched. And then on the road this year, he's 4-1 with a 4.47 ERA, which just kind of tells me, Noah, that in these road games that there's runs being put up for Jameson Taillon, especially recently for him. I mean, you kind of take a look at his last 5 games. And I'll read you off the final scores in this game, or total runs scored. 17, 15, 13, 1, which is against the Royals, and then 14, which was his last start against this Mariners team on Tuesday of earlier this week. So he went 4 2/3 inning in that game, gave up 5 earned runs, 4 walks in that game. I'm going to filter this down and see how he's done historically against the Mariners since last season, because he does have a start against them in 2016. He's 1-0 with a 4.63 ERA. So he had one great start last year. I think this Mariners team is completely different from what they have this year. So he really did struggle. On the mound, like I mentioned, Logan Gilbert for the Seattle Mariners. On the season, he is 10-4 with a 3.09 ERA, 120 strikeouts, 36 walks for Logan Gilbert. At home, 4-3 with a 3.19 ERA. Last start, it was the same matchup against Jameson Taillon, where that game ended 8-6 in a victory for the Yankees. He gave up 6 earned runs in 5 1/3 innings pitched, gave up 3 home runs, 4 walks for that game. It's going to be interesting to see where the mentality is out for the New York Yankees coming off being swept by the St. Louis Cardinals. And, I think with these two pitchers here, I'm not sure if I do expect a bounce back spot just because I've talked about it in Jameson Taillon starts that he just has not been very good for the Yankees in road starts. And there's a lot of, runs that have been being put up. I think the 7.5 number is a little conservative for me. I really like the over in this game between these two teams. I just can't bring myself to a side here, Noah, but I think at 7.5, I really do like that over in this game between these two teams. I think that number is a little conservative. What do you think?
Yeah, I would be leaning towards the over, but I actually landed on a side here. I like Seattle with the plus or even price. I just really think, we were labeling the Yankees as winners at the trade deadline. And then at 5:54, they pulled off one of the weirdest moves in trading away Jordan Montgomery. And you know what? Since then, it's been all downhill. They've lost 5 in a row since August 2nd, which was trade deadline day. 2 of those games were to the Seattle Mariners. And let me just mention this. Today, I found this tweet it was at 500 likes or something like that. Basically a half hour after Frankie Montas got blown up by the St. Louis Cardinals. Sent or tweeted by DBIT Lefty. He goes, "What a week. The Yankees miss out on Luis Castillo. He shuts them down. They trade away Jordan Montgomery. He shuts them down too. And then they trade for Frankie Montas and he gets shelled." So just that tweet perfectly sums up the week for the Yankees. And it's hard to back them right now. They're just not playing good ball. So, I'm seeing a plus price on the better team that I think is playing better ball right now. I'll take the Seattle Mariners plus 100.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, man, because this Yankees team, despite how great their overall record is over the month of July and August, I think they're like 2 or 3 games below 500, where they're just not playing good ball right now. They have a lot of injuries to their pitching rotation. I don't think, we talked about Severino can transfer the 60 IL, Garrett Cole, just very inconsistent for this team. I mean, he's supposed to be your $324 million guy, but really nothing there. You talked about Frankie Montas today as well.
Stuff. Nothing there.
Yeah, post sticky stuff. So, I agree with you. You convinced me. I'll end with the Mariners here as well on the money line price as well.
And it's a little bit of a travel spot, St. Louis to Seattle, a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's still central zone, but you're still going to like the far northwest up there in Seattle. Where is Seattle in travel spot? Or do they play at home this weekend?
I think they're at home.
Yeah, they played LA this weekend, so
yeah.
I like it, man. Let's go with the Seattle Mariners here. All right, before we get into our lock and dog, and as well as another announcement or contest kind of that we're going to be doing for the MLB gambling podcast, let me tell you guys about IP Vanish. IP Vanish, did you know that browsing online using incognito mode doesn't actually protect your privacy? That's right. Without added security, you might as well give away all your private data to hackers, advertisers, ISP, and other prying eyes. That's why we at SGPN use IP Vanish VPN to make it easy to stay truly private and secure on the internet. IP Vanish helps you safely browse the internet with encrypting 100% of your data. This means that your private details, passwords, communications, browsing history, and more will be completely shielded from falling into the wrong hands. Even your physical location will be hidden. IP Vanish makes you virtually invisible online. It's that simple. You can use IP Vanish on unlimited devices without sacrificing on speed. Your computers, tablets, phones, even devices like your phones, like your Fire Stick, when you're streaming media. Whether I'm at home or in public, I don't go online anymore without using IP Vanish. IP Vanish is offering an incredible 70% off their yearly plan for our listeners with a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's like getting 9 months for absolutely free. IP Vanish is super easy to use. All you have to do is tap one button, and you're instantly protected. You won't even know it's on. Stop sharing with the world everything you stream, everything you search for, and everything you buy. Take your privacy back today with a brand rated 4.6 out of 5 on Trustpilot. So go to ipvanish.com/SGP and use promotional code SGP and claim your 70% savings. That's ipvanish.com/SGP. All right, Noah, I am going to give you the floor here, my man. You have something to get us through the dog days of the summer of the month of August before football gets here. But what do you got for our people, my man?
Yeah, a little bit of an idea. First, I'll mention David Dilly in the YouTube comments is talking about, he thinks something is off with the Yankees too, and he's going to fade them tomorrow as well. But introducing Moonshot Mondays, here to get us through the dog days of August after trade deadline, in between kind of the beginning of the NFL season. It just kind of, feels a little bit dead. Well, the MLB Gambling Podcast is here to help out a little bit here with Moonshot Mondays. Now, what is Moonshot Monday? Well, we conveniently did it before the Lock Dog part of the podcast because each day we tweet out a Lock Dog graphic, or at least we try to. Most of the times we do. Sometimes it's just not in the cards. We don't have enough time to make it before the afternoon games. But tomorrow there will be a nice Lock Dog graphic out in the early afternoon for you guys to be able to comment. Who do you think will hit a home run in tomorrow's Monday slate? You got 7 games there to choose from. Now, the only stipulation is we plan on there's going to be multiple commenters. So what happens if multiple people hit a home run? Well, it's going to be based off of the betting odds for the player to hit a home run. So what you have to do is comment under the graphic. You have to say Aaron Judge plus 250 to hit a home run. Now, you don't have to put to hit a home run at the end, but just say Aaron Judge plus 250. So what happens if Aaron Judge hits a home run, but Mike Moustakas of the Cincinnati Reds hits a home run and his odds were plus 750? Well, the guy that comments Mike Moustakas to hit a home run at plus 750 would then win the contest. We're only going to have one winner. The winner gets a $10 SGPN gift card. It's a little thing that we can do to help you guys get through the dog days of August, and Monday is just a terrible day all around. So, I think it's a cool idea. Hopefully it does well. and blow up that graphic tomorrow, and maybe you find a home run prop from somebody else in the comments.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be exciting. I really like the idea that you came up with. Home run props everybody loves. I think the two probably, or there's a couple of popular props. I think the top three probably in baseball are the Nerfies, runs being scored in the first inning or not, strikeout props, and then home run props as well. So this will be a fun little contest to see, who can win. So what happens, Noah, if nobody hits one on Monday? Do we just carry over to Tuesday?
Yeah, $20 gift card for the next Monday, Moonshot Monday.
For the next Monday. All right, so we'll just do it weekly on Mondays. But we'll tweet that out on our MLB Gambling Podcast Twitter account. So if you are not already, I'm going to add a stipulation. If you are going to be in this contest, you need to make sure to be following the MLB Gambling Podcast Twitter account.
That's a hard task. I don't know if the followers are going to be able to.
I don't know either. It's pretty hard to click that follow button. If you're not following us,
while you're at it, just like and retweet it too, maybe.
Yeah. If you're not following and you win, sorry, you don't get that little gift card to our brand new merch store.
Oh, it's SGPN. Good cop, bad cop here on the podcast today.
Yeah. It's gonna be a fun little content. I'm really interested to see what our listeners and followers come up with as far as the Moonshot Monday. So we'll do that throughout the month of August as we get into the dog days of August with NFL around the corner. But obviously, MLB Gambling Podcast is going to be here all season long, every single day, as usual, till the end of the World Series. So we're almost heading down the stretch here, Noah. All right, let's get into the last segment of the show. It's going to be our lock and dog for the Monday schedule. 7 games on the schedule, a couple of duds, but there's some good matchups out there. I think there's some areas where we can find some money here, Noah. So I'll let you lead it off. What do you got for the Monday schedule for your lock and dog?
Yeah, so I'll start with my lock. I'm going with the red hot New York Mets, -1.5, -139 against the Cincinnati Reds. It's a little bit of a travel spot going from Milwaukee to New York. And, I think the price maybe isn't as steep as it could be because the Reds are in good shape right now. They're 6-2 in their last 8, but they're starting a kid from the minor leagues who has just been rough. He's got a 6.75 ERA. That is Justin Dunn in his 8 starts, 0-3 record. Chris Bassett on the mound, 2.58 ERA in his last 5 starts. Really love the New York Mets run line tomorrow. And for my dog, I'm going to go with the San Francisco Giants. They do well against left-handed pitching. It's Blake Snell. You never know what you're going to get from him. He has been good as of late, but this Padres team is coming off of Sunday Night Baseball, and that seems to be a convenient spot to fade teams. So I'm going to go with San Francisco +143.
All right, there we go. Lock, Mets. You said Mets -1.5 as your lock.
Yep.
And the San Francisco Giants going up against Blake Snell, left-handed pitcher on the mound for the Padres there with the money line on the Giants at +144. Noah. All right, for my lock, I'm gonna go with that number just moved in front of us as we were talking about this, Noah. So I'm still gonna give it out at 8.
Oh, which one?
Yankees and Mariners. That was at 7.5. Now it's moved to 8 on some books here.
Dang.
So I'm gonna go with the over 8 here. I think that number is still a little conservative, especially with the way these two pitchers have been doing recently, especially Jameson Taillon. Offensively, I know the Yankees can get it done. I mean, we've seen that. It's just the pitching is a huge question mark right now. Talk about how Taillon has been struggling for the New York Yankees. Logan Gilbert also gave it up against the Yankees in his last couple starts, and who knows? Maybe this is a little pissed off Yankees team, and they come in slugging here a little bit. So I feel like Gilbert can give up a couple as well to the Yankees. So I think that this number can get over that 8 number that's posted right now. It's at -105 towards the -105 on the over 8 between the Yankees and the Mariners as my lock. For my dog, I'm going to go in the same game there with you. There's not another dog that I really did like. I think the Orioles did provide me some value at that +125, but we talked about how left-handed pitching, they haven't been doing very well. The other one I did consider was a Cubs run line, but I'm not sure if I want to get behind a Cubs team. I know it's Sanchez on the mound for the
parlay.
Nationals. Oh yeah. I'll just double dog it with you. Let's go with the Giants money line, plus 140. Alex Wood, left-handed pitcher against the Padres, left-handed pitcher as well. So let's do that. And did you come up with that price for the parlay?
Yeah, I'm gonna grab it right now. Plus 124 for the Cubs and Diamondbacks to win tomorrow in the 2 toilet bowl games.
There he goes. Yeah, plus 124 each. Cubs money line, Diamondbacks money line. As soon as I say that, Cody Bellinger hits his second home run.
Second tank. Oppo Taco too.
Yeah. 3-0 now for the Dodgers over the Padres in the bottom of the 7th. All right, that's gonna do it here. Noah, did we forget anything else before we get out of here?
No, I guess the only thing that I'll add is, two very good graphics coming out tomorrow. Go spread the love. We got the power rankings graphic and the lock dog in the Moonshot Monday contest. So, wherever you're listening to the podcast, whether it's Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcasts, go leave a rating, review. The reviews help us a ton. Subscribe to it if you can. And speaking of subscribe, we're live on YouTube right now, but you can always go back and watch us as you're listening to the podcast. Subscribe there. Like the video. It does wonders. So it just helps us out with the algorithms even more. So we greatly appreciate the support.
Yep, 100%. Like I said, we'll be back throughout the week here as usual, handicapping these games. Malcolm will be back on Thursday, I believe, but I will be here as with either Noah and Dylan as well to handicap these games throughout the week here. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Please leave us a rating and review. It really helps us grow the show and climb those charts here. We also always have a little competition going between all the pods within the SGPN network. We always want to be number one. So if you guys can help us out, just take 2 minutes out of your time after you're done listening to the pod and leave us a rating and review. If you already have done so, maybe reach out to your wife's phone or your uncle or aunt or your kid's phones and leave us a rating and review. Definitely appreciate it. All right. Good luck with your bets on Monday. And don't forget to put in those home run picks on the graphic that we do put up tomorrow. Let's break these books off and let it ride.